Alex Lawrence, CEO of EV Auto. Alex Lawrence, welcome to the show.
Hi, guys. Good to see you again.
Good to
Alex,
see you.
welcome back.
Yeah,
A-
always fun to be
y-
with you guys.
Alex, I saw you recently in DC meeting with some people from can you tell us, what do you like? I remember, it's crazy, Alex, you've been on the show before, and you were previously, or when you started just the dealerships, it was so early on. I remember you DMing me, hey, like we're getting kickstarted, and I don't know, maybe like you were like, do you mind commenting on I don't even remember specifically what it was, but it seems like you've grown tremendously fast. You came out with mobile service. I saw recently, EV specific. Now you're in DC meeting with lawmakers and people. I mean, what's going on? Give us a little update on yourself and business and everything.
Yeah. So, and I want to talk about this service comment you made for dealers because I disagree, and I'll tell you why on the opportunity for Robotaxi with service. But yeah, I mean, it's been awesome. Started the business almost 6 years ago, EV only. It'll be 6 years in December. So, kind of lived the dog years life here. It's the most volatile asset in automotive. And so never a dull day, but yeah, we've got two locations open now. We've got two in Utah, a third opening in Nashville in the fall. We're working on a fourth. We've got mobile service, Cybertrucks and trailers here in Utah and Denver, Colorado, rolling them out in Orange County. And we've got some other adjacent businesses, as part of being a vertically integrated business with service and other businesses that will announce acquisition and things like that. So we've set a record in sales pretty much every month for the last 6 years, including last month again.
Wow.
So we've grown dramatically, and are excited about continuing to double down. We've never taken any money out of the business in the 6 years, so we've doubled down, doubled down, doubled down, doubled down, and continue to do that.
Very strong. And what were you doing in DC the other day? Tell us about that.
Oh yeah, sorry. So some folks invited me to come talk about the used EV tax credit, and my perspective is a little different than most. I mean, I voted for Trump. I love about 80% of what he does. About 20% I scratch my head on. Same thing with Elon. I don't believe in government mandates and stuff like that, which is kind of unpopular in some EV circles. But the EV used tax credit, as unbiasedly as I can say it, because I sell hundreds of them, is equal to all dealers. So I used to be the only one buying Teslas, and everybody wanted to sell me theirs. Once dealers realized there was this EV tax credit that could get a down payment for customers they couldn't sell another car to, all of a sudden they became huge fan of used
Mm,
EVs. And so the competition for them increased dramatically, which I'm great with. But it leveled out the playing field and that anybody can sell them. And the people that they're selling them to, I mean, these are under $25,000 cars to people that make under 75,000 a year. And so I know from firsthand experience, it's blue collar, entry level, white collar folks that now everybody can sell to. And so that was not what the Biden administration meant to have happen, but it is what happened. And so I was trying to advocate for that, even though I'm going to lose that argument in a big, big way. So, but I still went.
mhm. Okay. Tell us about used EV service. You said you disagree with my take, so go ahead. Tell us what you think.
Yeah, so I think you said, hey, there's going to be an opportunity with Robotaxi for tires and things like that, right? Well, Tesla is going to just let you have that car drive to them to get serviced and tires. Why
Mm,
would you have it drive to you and then go take it to the Ford dealer to put tires on for you or the tire shop? Especially with Tesla, who's probably going to undercut their prices, and you can get tires cheaper. It'll just drive to their service center. They'll do the tires and it'll drive back. And so, yeah, I don't think there's going to be a big service opportunity for people because of robo taxis.
wow. So that is fascinating. But one question there, right? I'm assuming that's not going to be mandated, right? Meaning it's a free
No,
market. I can send my vehicle to service itself wherever.
assuming they'll accept the vehicle that doesn't have a driver into the service lane, which they probably will, but
They
that's going
probably
to be a
will.
new experience to them, right? But yeah, I mean, I look at, again, if you're forward thinking enough to put your car in a robotaxi fleet, you're going to be fine with it going to Tesla, especially if the price is equal to or
Mm,
less than. Why are you going to take it out of that and go to, especially if they've got your card on file, they know exactly what tires, you can pick a couple ones, they're going to be equal to or
mm.
lesser than in price. I just don't know why these forward thinking folks would take it out of the Tesla network just to get some tires
Yep.
or brakes or something like that done. Our service center is slammed, and we have done no advertising. And that's because people are like, hey, well, they know us, they know our brand and so forth, but they're also like, these guys are EV only. They're going to do a better
Yeah.
job or perceived a better job. And so they're
Yeah.
already coming to us instead of the alternative. And Tesla is that next level up in terms of service for an EV
Mhm.
only.
So who wins and who loses here, right? Or do you think that this is just not material enough to have a meaningful impact? Because what comes to my mind is like, coastal dealerships in these markets where EV demand is much higher than at least, say, Central America, Midwest, right? Stuff like that. What's your take on winners and losers here?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a function of geography and time. And so, I mean, there's also other, we can talk about Waymo and Uber and stuff. So you just want me to talk about the consumer and dealers, winner and losers first?
Yeah, I'm just thinking you're sort of you're pushing back on the argument that service could benefit, dealer service could benefit. I get it, but I don't think it's that clear to me, right? You may have taken me from, okay, dealers will win on service here to I'm rethinking and just, kind of re-underwriting that perspective. And I think that's a fair point based on what you just said. I'm not sure, right? Dealers are very creative. And so I asked myself, what benefit could a dealer possibly have? Right? Is there like a cost structure benefit where I could charge less for something? Right? This is where, like, I'll give you an example. Maybe I charge less for the tires, and I mentioned this earlier, as like a loss leader than a Tesla, which incentivizes the consumer to send it to me. But then I get additional work. I don't know. I'm just trying to think this through of like how do we extrapolate this to winners and losers as this continues scaling?
Yeah, I mean, again, I thought a lot about it, and I'm in the EV only business and the EV service business, and I don't think I'm going to get a ton of new business from Robotaxi folks. So, I'd love to be wrong, but on the dealer side, this whole idea of replacing people that don't want to own cars, they just essentially want to rent cars. You nailed it. I mean, in places, big cities and stuff, where driving other cars, Uber, taxi, Waymo, Lyft, whatever, is already a big part of a lot of people's lives. That lends itself to that working much more easily there. As you go outside of those areas, whether it's coastal or there's other places in the Midwest, bigger cities, then yeah, and also some of it's just not practical. They're going to have Model Ys, but what if I need a truck, or what if I,
Hmm.
there's just other use cases, and maybe over time Cybertrucks will be in the fleet, things like that. But and then the other thing is time. I mean, if you look at the adoption curve of new technologies, it's going to take time just for comfort levels to go up. And so I don't think it's going to have a really meaningful impact on car sales for quite a while. I think the new generation is going to have to work that way through the adoption curve. But I think it's going to absolutely put Waymo and Uber and Lyft out of business. I think they're toast,
Okay.
and I can tell you why I
So
think that.
and I want to take a pause for a second from the future, and I want to talk about present day. You are an independent dealer, right? You don't have the franchise shingles above your head. For the independents listening, or for the used heavy dealers, who are your and speaking of affordability, which you mentioned, used EV tax credit process of, or it won't be here forever. It's going to go away soon, or so it seems. Who are you lending with today? Like, who are your top lenders that you're leveraging today at your
Yeah, I
stores?
mean, in my market, there's a credit union network that's really powerful and kind of somewhat regional. That's our bread and butter. But then, Capital One is another great partner for us. On we're selling more and more cars out of state, and different credit levels and stuff. So those are our two primary lending groups by far here. We've got a bunch of others, but those are the two that work the best and the most often for these types of customers for us.
Okay, Sam, to you.
Yeah, so I'm curious when you think about Tesla and Waymo, just a couple questions on that. Tesla's way behind Waymo in terms of the self-driving technology and being fully autonomous. There's still a driver behind it. What's up with the rain? Why can't it go out in the rain? How would you compare the two, and how long will it take Tesla to quote unquote catch up to Waymo?
Yeah, so I would disagree that they're way behind. I think Tesla is just being ultra careful. Um, the as somebody who's been using self-driving for many, many years, all the iterations of it, it can absolutely drive in the rain. It can absolutely have a person not in the car. You got to remember there's millions and millions and millions of miles every single day that's going into this system that is exactly the same as the cars are using.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
so the learning curve is exponentially hot faster. And so these cars are going to get way smarter, way quicker. And you can also argue about the different technologies, radar and lidar versus Tesla Vision and stuff. And you can go back and forth on which is better. I think they're both good. I think the vision side learns faster, and again just accelerates that learning curve. And if you also, we can talk about uh, the Airbnb thing a little bit, but if you think about the costs, I mean, a Tesla can make a robotaxi car for like 25,000. Waymo's cost them 100 grand.
Oh,
So,
wow. Okay.
and Waymos don't have this army of the number one selling car in the world, the Tesla Model Y, that they can turn on.
Yeah.
So you play those two things together, a fourth of the price,
They have the
millions
advantage.
more cars on the road, millions of more hours of learning, and the capital that Tesla has, and Waymo is screwed, and so is
Yeah.
Uber and Lyft. I mean, it's going to be so much cheaper than an Uber, and it's going to be so much more available. Once you get over that, there's not a driver. Why in the world would you make another choice? Faster, cheaper, better? I
So,
mean,
so
just because you
Alex,
don't like Elon?
think think 5 years ahead for us. 5 years from today, what does hailing an Uber or a cab look like in a Tesla world? Does this Airbnb thing take on, or what does it look like? What does the ride share look like 5 years down the
Yeah.
road?
And blast from the past, you'll see about renting, your pools and your garages for storage. Remember, there's a big company actually that came out of
Yeah.
that. And so, but this is going to be so stupid easy. It's like put my car in the fleet. I'm at work every day for 8 hours. Go make me $150 while I'm sitting here. I'm not going to use the car anyway. I think the adoption for that is going to be extremely high. Why? I mean, I'm going to have a boatload of Teslas that I'm going to turn on. I'm going to have a sign in there that says this car is for sale at EV Auto. And I'm going to have it come back if somebody wants to test drive it. But in the meantime, I'm hoping to have thousands of them,
That,
and they're going to be making me money while they're waiting to be sold, which is unlike anything the car dealer industry has ever probably even contemplated. These
um,
cars making the money while they're for sale, that's kind of a mind blower.
I think
imagine that
I think
picture,
you're
Yossi.
oversimplifying it. I mean, I think it's over. Like the reality is, margins will compress very quickly when there's a lot of competition. And will you, as a dealer, really want that car on the road after it's been reconditioned, after it's been detailed? I don't think you will. So I
Maybe. I
think,
mean, I will, but I'm
there's
not
been
normal.
startups.
I'm not normal. I'm gonna try it. I'm gonna put everything in there and see how it goes.
There's been startups that have, come out of like, hey, dealer, let me put your vehicles on some rental platform while you're trying to sell them. But it never
Yeah.
really works out because a big part of the sell is I need the vehicle to be on the lot, clean, reconditioned, safe,
Yeah.
and ready to be sold.
Yeah,
So,
but I dispute that a little bit. I love the vision of you have 100 cars sitting on your lot, and at 8 p.m. or whatever, all of a sudden they just march off the lot and they're running around the city delivering rides for people. And then you have a sign that says, "Hey, this vehicle brought to you by EV Auto. If you're interested in finding out more, you can actually own this vehicle."
well,
Customers inside are like,
yeah.
"That's cool. I
But
want it."
Sam,
They press the button, complete the credit application, sign all the paperwork, and it drives them home.
but that's a marketing investment, what you just said right there. I would not view that as like that goes on a separate, line on the P&L to me, in my perspective.
Uh,
Because that vehicle is depreciating. When you tell me that vehicle is driving around all day, it's putting on miles,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
depreciating.
Well, he said
So
five
again, to
years down the
me,
road too. In my defense, he said in 5 years. I mean,
yeah,
that's eternity in EV
yeah.
land, right? I mean,
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
yeah.
like,
fair enough.
yeah,
I mean,
it's
I would
nuts.
throw out a fleet out there, right? Put a fleet on the road for, couple hundred vehicles, sure, but then treat it as a marketing investment. I'm pro that. But to treat it as a vehicle that's ready to be sold, I don't know. We do have to move on. We got 10 minutes left. Alex, thank you so much for coming on. You're
Always
always
fun.
a
Always
super,
fun.
super, super knowledgeable and insightful guest. And we will, we'll stay very close to this news because it's a pretty big deal for the industry.
Yep. You guys lead my news feed, so I'll keep watching. Thanks for having me, guys.